Entertainment and Dismissal. And it's got David Lynch and Chief Fix. But we don't know what it's supposed to be about.
Pretty soon. What's new exciting? Considering it's a church, we usually do something. busy.
I can't read
I'm
them.
going to a funeral tomorrow. And might be doing a wedding on Saturday. I don't know.
But officiating.
Yeah, person
Requesting that you read my email. Read back the comments about writing to return.
One time I was a Slippery Rock PA and I did tell that joke. I was taking a class, public speaking class at that time.
What do you say?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's call to order this July 29th Newton Falls Special Council meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Precious Lord of God, we thank you for our community. We thank you for the opportunity to join here together, and we just pray that you are with us, directing our actions, dear God, and helping us to come to a solution, dear God, that benefits the community. We do pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, Kathy, if you want to call for the roll.
Ms. Spletzer?
Present.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Here.
Mr. Kropp?
Here.
Ms. Braymeyer? Here. Mr. Bariak?
Here. Okay, at this time, before we go into public comments, I'm going to go ahead and pull off of the agenda any actions with the Chief of Police. And go ahead and we'll go into public comments. It's limited to items on the agenda. And so if you could state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Katie Carl, 128 West Quarry. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to blow out anybody's eardrums. I have a question for Mr. Chairman and the body of council. Our motto of the City of Newton Falls is working towards a better tomorrow. And you have on your agenda, you did have, to go into executive session for personnel for 2 things, and now just for 1. And working towards a better tomorrow for our community and working on bettering our community. It's going to cost our community if you don't follow through with contracts for various administrators of our city, such as the city manager, and, well, now the police chief is off of this tonight's. But contracts are put in place. How much is that going to cost the taxpayers in our community, our businesses? what's it going to do to our community? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, more or less, when it's in your ability to not let that happen? Can you not work as a body together to help our community instead of harming it? I guess that's a question that I have. What's the end goal? What's the plan that is in place to help our community instead of the constant negativity and nastiness? Thank you.
Hi, y'all. My name is Frank Tomeno. I live on Hillcrest Drive in Lake Milton, Ohio. While I'm not a city resident, I am an employee here. And you took off one of the main things I was going to address, which I thank you for. But I'd still like to say that my grandparents were from Newton Falls, and they were here till 1985 when their house was destroyed. My parents were married in the community center in 1955. I've been in public safety for going on 47 years, and I was a former township police chief in Newton Township. I've been employed here since 2013, and I can say that your decision to take the chief off of your list was well thought, because he's one of the best guys I've ever worked for in 47 years. Like myself, he is a lifelong...
Point of order. Frank, point of order. That's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Could you please wrap up?
Yeah, I'll take care of that right now.
Thank you. John.
Sorry, I've dealt with both of you. Dave Lynch. I'd like you to know, as an outsider who comes here to work and really enjoys my job, I get a lot of compliments from people not only that live here, but people from outside the community on how awesome and beautiful this community is. I don't think they realize what the heartbeat of this community is. A lot of comments about the improvements and the uniqueness of Newton Falls. The fact that we have a Statue of Liberty in the center of our town, a sign of freedom. People joked about that, laughed about it. There are people that come here just to see that. The improvements that were done in the city. One of the major things that I hear a lot about is our lit up water tower, of all things. People enjoy the colored lights on the water tower, thanks to Dave. City Park, the playground equipment, the new playground equipment, the paving projects that made our streets safer, true concern for the infrastructure and making Newton Falls a magnet for new businesses. The little appreciation things that he's done for the employees. First time in 47 years I ever got a gift card. A gift card. And 4-hour certificate for time off for Father's Day. Because we don't have the luxury of spending the holidays with our families. We have to be here, protecting all the citizens. And Dave, I thank you for that.
Mr. Tomeno, if you could wrap up, the time's expired.
Okay. As I leave the building every day, I look at the big white cross in the back, and I think of a man who was persecuted for trying to save the world. And I ask you to put your feelings aside, your anger and your differences, and think real hard about your decision and make the best decision for the people who you represent and for the future of Newton Falls. Thank you all for your time and your service.
Brenda Persino, Ward 4. I had a whole speech laid out, so now I'm just down to one little page. Before I start on that page, since I have 3 minutes, I need to make something very clear. I supported my mayor. I still do. I will gladly go back to a statue and stand for you. I stand for John. I support John. I support Ward 4, Tessa Spletzer. I passed out signs, I passed out signs, pins, emery boards, and I think we had magnets. I support her. I support Adam. He's a friend. I support Sandy. Never met her. I support her. She was counsel. I support Mr. Fritz. Never met him, never spoke to him. But I support him. I support Dave Lynch. I've talked to him many times, called him on the phone, screaming, hollering, yelling, ugly emails. He will be the first one to stand up and tell you I've been the biggest thorn in that man's side. But I support him. I support Kathy. I support our finance director. You want to know why I support you all and why I respect you all, regardless of the rumors or the chitter-chatter on Facebook? I support each and every one of you. I'm friends with Tessa, and I'm friends with Adam. I'm friends with Brian. I support Brian. Excellent speaker. Excellent speaker. I don't agree with John, and then I agree with John. You can disagree and agree and still like each other. It's not a new concept. I can be friends with Adam and still shake your hand. I can be friends with Adam and Mr. Lynch and still go over and give that woman a hug. Who am I? I'm a member of your community, and I respect and support each and every one of you because you made a promise to me and all of us that you were going to do your darndest to make my community better, make it stronger, and move forward. Change is a beautiful thing. Some are going to like it. Some aren't going to like it. Last council meeting, a motion was made to fire our city manager, Mr. Lynch. There was little to no explanation to us, the community, as to why. I wrote emails. I was confused. What happened? Brian was just appointed. What happened? I thought everything was going good. Some are seeking to remove, gotta remove the chief there, okay. Yay, Chief Stan. Removal of our city manager. I ask you all, at what cost? And I'm not talking financial. I'm little Brenda Persino, could give a blip about finances because I don't understand them. That's what Anna Munson was for, or whoever. But at what cost to our community as a whole? Do we not want good, honest, hardworking people such as yourselves and Mr. Lynch? Are we against employing members of this community who work for and with our community? I see you out in my community, Tessa's out in the community, John's out in the community, Brian's out in the community, Adam is out in the community. Mr. Lynch is out in the community. Do we not want that? council and community members made a promise to work together for the betterment of our community. Has this man not upheld that?
Hey, Ms. Persino, if you could wrap up.
I'm almost done. We need to compromise to cease the petty squabbling, the hearsays, the gossips, the rumors, and start showing each other respect, and let us start making the community what we all envision, whether we agree, disagree, or they disagree with us. I respect you all.
All right, so before you start the clock, Mr. Bariak, I'm going to be very emotional here today. It's taken a lot of bravery
Ms.
for me.
Blandine, if you could just give us your name and your address.
I will, to stand here before you. Good evening. My name is Tammy Gillespie Blandine. I'm here today. I don't think 3 minutes is enough to share what I'm feeling in my heart. My father planted his young family in Newton Falls 60 years ago because he believed this was a safe and resilient town to raise his young family in. For 50 years, he was a stellar community leader and advocate for the bright future of the Zip City of 44444. He went from being JC president, where a stellar group of fine young men in this community volunteered their time, served this community for the betterment of the community. And what I believe, and I may be wrong because I was just a baby, 5 years old, they were the founding fathers of our infamous 4th of July fireworks. And I remember the day a very terrible storm came through, and my dad was out there shooting off the very fireworks that most people in northeastern Ohio enjoy coming to see. But he did that for his community. Then my father went on to serve 8 years on city council, where he dedicated his time as a retired citizen to bring positive outcomes for this community. He used to say to me, I'm doing this because for my children and their children and their children and their children. He was a retired man, and he still voted yes on every levy that was presented in this town for the betterment of the community. And out of respect for my father and to honor him, that man died 2 very houses down to my left, and my nephew was married in this church. So I have been raised in a very dedicated family to this community. But I can no longer be silent, so I am here today not to pass judgment on anybody, not to berate anybody. I'm here today shaking because I want to show my support, my unwavering support, right now at this crucial time in this city's, I can't even find the words, where we are at. I am tired in the last 25 years of my life watching the bickering, the humiliation, social media, we all know. It'll tear people apart. I'm very nervous right now. I am in administration. I know how to public speak, but I'm shaking in my shoes because I'm afraid if I say one word wrong, I'm going to be torn apart in this city, the very city that I've lived in 60 years of my life. So I'm here to show my unwavering support for all of you, but for Mr. Lynch today and Chief Fixler, but I'm here to support. And I wrote down my words because I want to be very careful and precise, because I do not want to be torn apart and destroyed like so many people have been. So I'm here today to show my support for Mr. Lynch. It has just been the past few years that I've had that feeling as I pass through this community. Wow, I'm looking at all the great things that are happening. The first time in 25 years, I watched my father serve on city council. What a proud man he was. He'd sit there in his chair, pa's chair. He had never said a bad word about anybody in this community. He didn't share negativity with his family. His main focus was, we need to do the right things. So, going back to Mr. Lynch, as I'm going through this community in the last year and a half, I'm like, wow, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. It was restoring my sense of pride in Newton Falls. I walked through that door of knowledge, just like many of you in this room, that the tornado, well, it's still there, but the tornado destroyed the home that I so treasure. And many other beautiful things in this community, but look what happened. Change brings positive outcomes. Look at all the new things we have in Newton Falls as a result of a tragedy. But that day, I'll never forget it. Everybody in this community, total strangers, walking up to one another saying, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" Chainsaws on their back, backpacks on their back. "Thank you, I'm okay," and on to the next house.
Ms. Blandino, I need you to kind of wrap.
All right, I will, Mr. Klein. So, Mr. Lynch has done many positive things for this community, and it shows. He has the vision, fortitude, and perseverance to move us forward in a path of progress and prosperity. Those goals just don't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and effective collaboration, which clearly has been lacking in this community. On council. So, everybody knows Columbiana Firestone Park, known as the best city to live in America, because the town city manager. Okay, so Columbiana is the best city in America. That didn't happen overnight. It happened because of their leadership's creative and innovative ways to bring industry and business to sustain their viability for growth and development, for the hardworking people that chose to live there and the people that want to visit there. People choose on their free time, on their Saturday afternoon, on their Saturday night date night, to visit Firestone Park to patronize the many exciting and fun establishments that now serve their community and visitors. People want to drive there on their day off to relax and enjoy the many attractions that they have there. These people
Mr. Chairman,
can safely...
Point of order. We have a 3-minute limitation as far
Yeah,
as,
we've
and this has
went
been,
like
not to
twice
agree,
over
but this has
Ms.
gone on
Blandine.
for almost 10 minutes.
All right.
now.
I have a request.
What's
I'd
that?
like to give this lady my 3 minutes. that
You're not
I'm-
allowed to do that, it's against the council rules.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I mean, we do, Ms. Blandini, I've given you like
Well, then
twice
I'll
as
just
much.
write it up and put it in the Tribune.
Okay.
But I am going to finish.
Well, you got to be done. I mean, you've doubled your time.
Mr. Lynch has the vision
No.
to capitalize on our
Ms. Blandine,
city's
please, Ms.
unique natural
Blandine.
resources.
Please stop, please stop.
I'm here today to ask you guys to
Ms. Blandine,
collaborate effectively.
you've doubled your time.
Julie Lemon, 2750 East River Road. So I was born and raised in this community as well, except for when my parents moved when I was a teenager, and they had 2 mad teenage daughters because they left Newton Falls. Newton Falls is our home. And when I became a mom, I wanted to raise my daughter in Newton Falls. This is home. When my parents said they were moving back, I quit my job, dropped my boyfriend, moved back, because this is home. Now, one thing I have seen in all my years, especially the last 10 years, is a lot of arguing and bickering amongst our leaders. But I will say I have never seen the division that there is now. And I think a lot of it, and this may be Nate and Bood, but it's caused by you and assumptions that Mr. Lynch makes. I personally was insulted by signs that he hung in the community. If you don't wear a mask, you don't have a heart. There are people who have medical conditions who cannot wear a mask. Does that mean they don't have a heart? It's insulting to the peoples of this community. But it's the volunteers and the people who put in their time and their efforts that make this community. I do not personally believe that Mr. Lynch is a good fit. I think there's a lot of discombobulation and commotion that is caused by his employment with this city. A lot of us have been harassed by simply asking questions and asking the village manager to address certain situations. And I'm asking this council, and I've seen what this community can do. 5 years ago, my daughter was in a car accident, and I watched as my community, my home, rallied around me and my husband. I watched my classmates, people in the community, I watched people I went to school with come into the school for a benefit and bring them and their 3 children. And Mr. Klein, I think you were the school board president at the time. That's what makes this community great. Not an employee, but the people itself. Thank you.
Heidi Zimmerman, 515 LeMay. And I would like to request Councilman Zimmerman got an email from, and I want to get this right, Christine Leon. She can't make it here tonight, so she wanted to make sure that someone could read it, if that's okay? Okay. And I know part of this is about the chief, and we're all very happy that this has been taken off, so bear with that. But there's also other points that I think need read. Dear Councilman Zimmerman, by way of introduction, my name is Christine Leon. My mother, Mary Ann Johnson, who is well known throughout the community, passed away Monday, July 26, 2021. Her, as well as my father, James J. Johnson, Sr., lived in Newton Falls all their lives, and my mother served on Newton Falls City Council from January 2010 to 2014. I grew up in Newton Falls. Both my brother and I are successful law enforcement officers, serving in both local and federal law enforcement, obtaining federal security clearances. We are the products of Newton Falls. We are the products of 2 Newton Falls residents who had hometown values, dignity, ethics, integrity, respect, and spirituality. Sadly, I see that missing now in my hometown. Sadly, I see Newton Falls in the newspapers for the wrong reasons. What has happened to us? Is this what we've become? Constant bickering, allegations, lawsuits, the back and forth, it has to stop. We need to find a way to come together again. We need to be working towards something for our citizens. Our citizens deserve so much better than this. What family or business would like to relocate to an area with so much negativity? People seek peace and tranquility. Business people I have spoke to are disheartened. They are disheartened by such utter chaos. Terminating employees without progressive discipline is wrong. Why would the City of Newton Falls seek to terminate Police Chief Gene Fixler? For allowing City Manager Lynch into the administration building, this is not a fireable offense. The City Manager is within the Police Chief's chain of command. You also cannot fire someone who you choose to get even with. That's retaliatory. Is this what we've become? Have we become this spiteful and hate-filled within our hearts? That's not the Newton Falls I know and love. It's certainly not the Newton Falls my parents and grandparents loved. I hope you will retain Chief Gene Fixler. He has always had a special place in our family's heart. My mother adored him and checked on her often. This is the kind of man you have in Gene, a kind, caring man who truly loves the community. This is the kind of employee you bend over backwards to keep. I've worked under a lot of brass and can truly say I'd work for Chief Fixler any day. I pray Council and Mayor Klein reconsider their actions. Respectfully, Christine Leon. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. I also agree that this division is just tearing apart the town. I did not prepare a speech. I was planning on just reading this and walking away. But David Lynch is a good man.
You have to wrap up pretty soon because you're already beyond the 3 minutes.
He's a good man. He's worked for this community. He puts his heart into it. He cares about this community. He has different ways of doing it. It's not what we're used to. But I think we can get, I think that the community is better for the different opinions. I believe Dave is great. Mr. Fritz and Kathy King. They all are wonderful in this community and in their places here, and I hope that we remain with all of them.
Rick Curlin, 611 North Canal. I don't want to offer an opinion, but I'd like to offer some things just so everyone can remember. First of all, under this administration, does anyone see a finance officer anywhere? Does anyone know how the finances are going? May also remind everyone that we had a recall and people got to vote after probably spending $60,000 to $70,000 of the money from the city to defend against the inevitable. May also say that this city last year stopped 4 referendums that the people of this town signed, and they wanted to vote.
Point of order, the referendums are not on the agenda.
Pardon me?
Referendums are not on the agenda. Mr. Lynch is on the agenda tonight.
And he was a part of it, sir.
Continue to speak as part of the agenda.
All day they were talking about his tremendous accomplishments. I'm not offering an opinion, I'm just bringing this up. The referendums all were stopped by outlandish attorney bills. The people could not vote. This isn't a guess. The people don't vote. If they want to vote, if they follow the law, they don't get an opportunity to vote. Mr. Lynch has done amazing things. We have a sign on Route 5, and it's really nice. The businesses have gotten nothing. They were promised electricity discount. They haven't gotten it. Mr. Lynch used to come to all the meetings for the Commerce Association. He doesn't attend anymore, and he hasn't in months and months and months. This is a beautiful building that we bought for $250,000 that the price tag all of a sudden is $500,000. These aren't guesses. Of course, we guess at a lot of things financially because we don't know. We've had a lawsuit filed by our city manager against a private citizen. We've had numerous lawsuits, including one against Mr. Lynch for what he did make, a comment that was made, and of course the courts will decide on whether that's illegal or not. I guess my point is there's been a lot of lawsuits and a lot of money spent on attorneys defending things that our city manager or administration has done. 4 referendums, they're gone. We don't know where. A referendum that was done this year that we had everything settled to do, where is it? No one knows. We have a referendum from last year. Where is it? We kept out a city councilwoman for how long and how much money? Because. Now, on the other side, some of the good things that he's accomplished, he does have his show in the mornings. Thank you.
What a clown.
Hi, Marilyn Lee, 515 North Canal. I just want to remind some folks of some things that David Lynch has spent lots of money on. Laser light show during a pandemic. Statue of Liberty during a pandemic. Hot air balloons. Ice sculptures. For a luncheon. Golf cart. Mask and goose signs. Numerous lawsuits, including calling residents names. The plans, you guys seen the new plans for this wonderful, so wonderful bridge. Well, those plans cost money, so did the luncheon. The AMP. Why couldn't this money that the taxpayers have been used, the taxpayers pay, why couldn't it have been used to save our community center? That's all I have to say.
Lauren Ihazel, 227 North Center Street. Along with that list, I'd like to add that the city manager also gets with the law director to come up with contracts. We now have, what was it, 4 contracts? And one extending a contract. We have 4 contracts, but per that cannot be terminated without a felony. So unfortunately, to our utility office, their director, who reports to Mr. Lynch, who is now on suspension, technically, per their contract, can't be terminated without a felony. That's by the contract. So, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but that's what it's written. So I'm sorry to our utility office who has to go through this as well with a person who's on suspension. So it's not just the funds, and I understand why this is a meeting as it is, but there has to be some type of checks and balances with the amount of money that is being spent. I believe we had, what was it, $70-some thousand in our general fund? Where's the money? Who's spending the money? Who's writing checks out of our bank account? This is our money that's being spent. Balloons are pretty. Yes, it brought some money. It brought some events to the town, but that's your money. One of our people, 2 of our people went on balloon rides. That's part of our money. Even if it's gifted, it's still an ethics issue. But that money was spent to put them here with the fuel. There's receipts for it. That's your money, town. Please, please open your eyes. I understand that people want to be nice, but it's not time to be nice when it's involving your money and your taxes. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nobody else, the unfinished or the new business would be part of executive session. So we'll see if anybody wants to make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Okay, we've got a second for personal matters to consider one or more as applicable in reference to the city manager employment dismissal. Okay, so we got a first, we got a second. If you could call for the roll, Mrs. King.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Ms. Braymeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Mrs. Blitzer?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll head into executive session. Is that big enough?
Yeah, he set up with
I guess we're going over here. Gee, I'd like to go pee. All right.
Wait back. Mr. Mayor, you see your attorney, somebody you want to invite him back also? If counsel is all right. Counsel, you want us, Mr.
Who's that?
He's not.
Who's that?
Gil is here. Gil Blair. And since he was part of the negotiations, I thought the counsel wanted to speak.
Well, if he wants to come in, if the council says he can come in, I want him in.
Well, it's like you said, he was a part of our deliberations, so I think it's worthwhile.
Use the restroom. Sandra went in that one, I'll be back. Go to the restroom, I'll be right back.
Was he here? I don't even remember if he was here.
Yeah, he's here. For the start of the meeting, he's absolutely.
Whoop. Well, you know, this is a funny thing, all right?
Ready for this?
As long as you don't do the vision. I need it now. I'm good now, though.
I don't know.
We should start the meeting then?
Did he go to make copies?
All right, I don't know.
I want a copy.
You want to play catch?
That wasn't good.
Did I tell you one of my birds died?
Yes, he did.
Oh, okay.
He said it was fighting over the nesting slingers.
Yeah. You know, and my grandson keeps saying, Grandma, are you going to get another bird? You know, and it's like, I really wanted one of these great big ones, you know, but $3,000. And I just flipped it and died.
We're talking.
Oh, cute. What did you name it?
Don't have a name yet.
No name yet?
We don't have him yet. Gotta wait till.
Oh, you gotta wait.
Gotta wait till the middle, first week of August.
It'll be a nice dog. It's cute.
Take a deep breath. I'm going to see your
Oh, yeah, what a face, huh?
Well said.
All you're gonna do is have someone
Oh, yeah. Cute dog. Oh, you'll love him. How big's he gonna get?
Parents are like 60 or 70 pounds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to leave the executive session and enter back into a regular session?
I'll make that motion.
We have a second. Roll call.
Mr. Krupp?
Yes.
Ms. Braymeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to accept the city manager's resignation based on the proposed revised agreement?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Did you second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I'd like to say to the public tonight that council wants to do the best for the citizens of Newton Falls. And in order to move forward, we've come to a mutual agreement that I feel will be the best for us to be able to move forward. By Mr. Lynch accepting this resignation, we'll start to move forward. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, if nobody else has anything to weigh in here, if Mrs. King could call for the roll.
Ms. Braymeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Ms. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Krupp?
Yes.
Okay, and the resignation is accepted according to the terms here. Let me see, I don't think we have any, do we have public comments on the meeting tonight?
We do.
Okay. Public comments open to, and with it being a special meeting, there's still, I believe, according to the agenda items only, So if anybody would like to speak, give your name, your address, and you got 3 minutes.
On the way down.
Hey, Carl, I'm too late. Hi, Cory. I don't know what the terms and conditions are. I know Mr. Lynch has done a lot for our community, and I'm very sorry that the resignation was given and accepted. And I know that he's done a lot for our community, and I know he's come across a lot of times as, well, as my voice is, as brash, but again, he's brought a lot to this community. So I hope that there is a plan in place that this body of council has for our community to actually work towards a better tomorrow. Because right now, as a community, it's not happening. So, thank you.
Dave Hanson, 4365 Warren Road. I want to say one of the greatest things we ever did here in town was to televise these meetings, because it's like an Akashic record. And we all have to adhere to the rules and regulations. We can't make them up as we go along. So these records will stand, and we will abide with the rules we pass and what we do. In social media, we are responsible for what we put on there, what we say about people, and that will come to light too. Now, I've been tracking social media. I've embedded myself in social media here, and I've gotten a lot of interest with people throughout the country. One person in particular, a Columbia graduate, he wants to do a documentary on this town, which I think is fantastic. And we can do bits and clips and snippets about this.
Mr. Hanson, you make sure to stay on the...
About the thing with the city manager here.
Okay.
All right? He's gotten more done in 3 years than what's happened here in 40 years. Here's the playbook. After Lynch goes, they're going to get the police chief. After he goes, it'll be Mr. Fritz. After him, they'll be after Kathy King. This is a playbook right from when Pat Layshock was in office, when they had the drive-by shootings. John, you were part of that too. You were up in council too. You remember it.
What's the point of order?
Point of order is he's addressing. He needs to address.
Yeah,
the
you know what? This is part of it. 3 years he got more done in the middle of a pandemic than anybody's gotten done. 40 years. Let me tell you, 40 years ago, Champion was not as big as Newton Falls. Now, look at Champion. 40 years ago, Howland wasn't as big. Now look. 40 years ago, Streetsboro was nothing. Look where they're at. You know what? You guys better show me what you got for economic development. And I'm going to finish up. I'm going to tell you, we had a $10 million deal. They inked on my property. I signed a non-disclosure. At some point in time, I'll turn it loose. It was in November of 19. There was nothing you could do about it. Absolutely nothing because of the pandemic. Nothing anybody. The whole world suffered with that. Right here in Newton Falls, all the way across the world. Not just physical illnesses, economic, family crises. But this is the way it's going to go. I'm telling you right now, you watch. This is the same playbook. Thank you.
Do I have to state my name again?
Ms. Persino.
Persino, Ward 3, not 4, 3. I'm sorry to hear this. I really, truly am. I thought we could all work together and learn to compromise. I'm not going to stand here and say I know anything about the laws and the rules, because I don't. I know people. I know their heart. You all have good hearts. I've seen it. I've stood beside many of you. I stood beside Mr. Lynch. I'm very sorry to see you go. As many fights and arguments we had, and we had some good ones, and I've said some horrible things to you, sir, but you always answered my email. You always answered that call. And you stood beside me. You could have knocked me down with a feather. Could have knocked me down. One never thought you would stand by my side and support me on an event that many didn't. Many didn't. No phone calls, no emails, silence. Silence. I heard that silence. I got angry. Oh, I was angry. That man calmed me down. He calmed me down. You want to know what he told me? They got good hearts, Bryn. They're there for you. You were there for me. You walked in a pair of shoes that I don't think many could have walked. You walked in, I know darn well you had a foot bath when you were done. You were in a suit and you walked. You didn't stop, smiled all the way. And he didn't do it for a photo op. There was no news media. None. Bob Copeland didn't come. No news media. And that event was for the MS DIY Walkathon. For the National MS Society. He was the first person to email me. And we had big plans for next year. Big plans. Sir, as I stand here today, I started out, I did not like you. I listened to birds chirping in my ear. I apologize for that. I didn't see John at that walk. I didn't see Tessa at that walk. I didn't see the mayor at that walk. And I didn't see
Ms.
Brian
Persino, could you
climb
finish
on
up?
that walk. But you were there. And I thank you.
Okay, anybody else before we adjourn?
Brian Kropp, 247 Elizabeth Street. I'm going to take a page out of Mr. Fritz's book from the last meeting and take an opportunity to speak to the chair and also speak to the public. I've had an opportunity to spend much time with Mr. Lynch. He was the reason that I honestly will say, he's the reason I'm actually sitting up here on council. His eloquence and his articulation and his ability to speak and be professional and polished were what drew me in and brought me to the council floor to speak, to meet with Mr. Lynch many times, discuss ideas and visions for the town and the community. But unfortunately, my experience was different than Mrs. Persino's, and it actually went the other way. I got to know this person, and unfortunately, the way council is set up and designed to work, it's supposed to be a collaborative, collective effort. It's supposed to be people working together for the betterment of the community as a whole. not one person dictating or controlling the ability of other people to do the duties that they're either elected or appointed, whatever, to do. And that's what it ended up becoming. And we've dealt with that for months and months and months now. I personally have dealt with that. I know many other people in the community have dealt with that as well. When someone becomes a hurdle or an obstacle to other people trying to do their job so that they can be the one to stand out and shine, a perfect example.
The agreement has a section there regarding council members making discussions matter. It's going to be a public record, but with something that's falling in the category of disparaging, I know I had a lawsuit before.
Okay, yeah, be very,
disparaging comments?
be very careful with.
So I would like the public and the chair and the people to know that moving forward, I hope that the public will be patient with us. We will work together as a collective, as a council, the mayor, the council members, the council staff. We will have access to each other. We will work together to put legislation on, to make changes to the community, good and to change things for the betterment of the community as a whole. And we will listen to the community and work in unison. That's what has been lacking here in our community, I think, for quite some time. And I think everyone can agree that no one's been able to work together. There hasn't been a collective, collaborative ability to work together. That's going to change. And I think this is the start. This is the beginning of that. And I hope we can all make a clean break. And I hope the public will accept that and understand that we are going to work hard together to make this community amazing. And it starts with the foundation from the bottom up. It doesn't start from the top down. It starts from the bottom up. And I hope people will understand that and take that to heart as we move forward and be patient with the council. Thank you.
Julie Lemon, 2750 East River Road. I just want to make a suggestion. I'm not going to cheer that Mr. Lynch has resigned, but I am going to ask council to consider this. The next city manager needs to be somebody from this community or the township that is vested in this community, who's raised their children here, who is invested in what's best for our businesses and can work with their neighbor and other neighbors on council. I don't think that anyone else could do a better job than as I refer to, a hometown boy or a hometown gal, because nobody loves Newton Falls more than the people from Newton Falls.
Okay, anybody else?
City River, Newton Falls, West River Road. Maybe I'm ignorant in this, but do we really need a new city manager? Am I wrong? I don't know. I'm asking the question. We have a mayor, the rest of the council. Do we really need another city manager?
We have to, according to the charter.
Pardon?
According to the charter, we have to. It's our form of government.
So we do have to have a city manager. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. I figured that right out.
Okay, anybody else? If not, do we have somebody who wants to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
If I make that motion. If I may real quick, Mr. Lynch may be the first to say, thank you, sir.
Do we have a second? Ms. King, if you could call for the roll.
I'm sorry, who made the second? I missed.
Ms. Spletzer.
Okay. Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Spletzer?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Kropp?
Yes.
Ms. Braymeyer?
Yes.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Not really.